let's go. All right. So this is going to be kind of crazy. It's about black workers. This is out of CNBC. It says half of black workers want to quit, and here's what companies can do better. That second part, here's what companies can do better, is some bullshit because really, they just don't get it. They really don't. And here's some of the facts. It says
I'm
black
glad they
workers.
didn't smear us. Like my standards and my expectations are so low. I'm like, holy shit, they didn't smear the workers immediately in the headlines. But go
Yeah.
ahead, TV.
Says black workers seem to be among the most unhappy employees, with 49% saying they want to quit, according to a recent Indeed survey. The reasons include lack of pay transparency, a misalignment of personal values with company values, and a desire for more diverse leadership. To retain black workers, companies need to do a better job of recruiting diverse leadership for senior positions. This sounds like a PMC problem, but even still, PMCs are still also workers. And so that's why this is important. And this starts off, says workers are unhappy as layoff fears continue to loom. Work from home flexibility is on the fritz, and there are continued battles for pay transparency. But it seems black workers are among the most unhappy, with 49% of those surveyed saying that they want to quit their jobs, according to a recent Indeed report. The reasons why black workers are considering leaving their jobs include pay transparency issues, misalignment of personal values with company values, and wanting a more diverse leadership team. This is nothing new, said the chief diversity officer at Leadership Circle, Aaron Sekou Creighton, says a business leadership development firm. Says marginalized communities have been unhappy with the workplace for years prior to COVID-19. No shit, Sherlock. The pandemic simply signaled the masses to voice unhappiness at work. And it says one of the things they say they need to do is recruit diverse leadership throughout the entire company. Recruit diverse leadership. That's one of the things they need to do. Nick,
I
CJ.
call bullshit. I know that's where you're going with the JB, but you see how this is where they directed. You got all these angry black workers. They're like, oh, they must be angry because they're not a diverse workplace. Surely that's why they're upset. And I'm gonna say this right now. This article, man, it really speaks to me. It really speaks to me because, man, I never met a job I didn't love to quit. I didn't quit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was the MVP. Bro, as soon as I found a job and I thought they was ripping me off, I'm done. I'm done. Like I'm not withholding my labor from the jobs that always rip us off. The black workers. Do you guys know wage theft is more prevalent than criminal burglary? Companies steal way more money than criminals do from you. But you look at how they lead this article. Oh man, they must be upset that they just want a more diverse workplace. I don't give a fuck. I could not give a fuck if they pay me well. That's just me speaking alone. That's me speaking alone. Could not give a fuck as long as they treat the workers well there. But go ahead, JB.
Mm-hmm. CJ, you got a comment that you want?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I just was laughing at what he was saying.
Okay. Look, I will be honest with you. Before I move forward, let me just say this. All right. Sometimes I wish I could smack somebody over the back of the head with my wallet. Be like, you feel that? It's because it's empty. That's why. That's all I want to say. You know, some people just make me, oh God, go oops upside the head with my empty wallet. All right. Anyway, it says recruit diverse leadership throughout the entire company. Bullshit. Says, and in a recent Indeed and Glassdoor report found that over 60% of workers would turn down an offer or leave a company if they felt their manager or potential manager did not support DEIB or diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging initiatives. If organizations have a true commitment to inclusion and equity, then they'll begin to make sure that they're hiring top-notch Black, Asian, Latinx, female, and neurodiverse leaders who in their executive ranks. Once that happens now, then there's voice there. Here's my problem. And something that a lot of people don't realize. Classism happens in the Black community too. Hell, it's true because I shared that on Twitter, that bullshit that Deion Sanders just said. But it happens. So is it just about that? Because that's surface level. What about the pay that people are getting? Like, what about the pay disparities that Black people have? What about how, and people will talk about, oh, well, we need more inclusion so that they feel treated better. The problem is y'all, it's the structure. It is the system. It's not just, oh, we just got to change this at this job and change this at that job. No, it needs to be an overhaul. And it's not just about these companies individually. It's about the entire structure being changed, the entire system being changed. And that's something that they don't get. And so that's what it feels like to me, is that they just don't get. Quote says, in some situations where companies are focused on inclusion and equity, we're still not seeing diversity at the senior and executive levels. The problem is that at the senior and executive levels, you have a bunch of people who all they do is look at the numbers. Even if they're Black, they're just looking at the numbers. Do some of them consider, the diversity? Yeah. But most of the time, no. It's about the numbers. It's about how much money and profit you're bringing in. So really, it doesn't matter as much to them. And on top of it, it's about the exploitation of workers that is first and foremost. Workers are feeling more exploited. That's what it is. And people don't take that into consideration. And so workers wanting to quit is because they feel that they're being gypped. And so if you're feeling you're being gypped, you're not going to want to be there. And Black people are feeling the pinch even more so now. And so guess what? We're leaving because we know that we have more of entitlement to have a more equal and equitable say at work. According, even with our white counterparts. And so this article is like fixed promotion, advancement, and equities. Yeah, but what about the pay of their lowest paid workers? What about allowing workers to actually share how much they get instead of making it a company policy that they can't share how much they get? You know what I'm saying? It's just wild.
I think I mean, the being overrepresented in this poll or having a higher rate of Black people who are dissatisfied is just, to me, just because we've been dissatisfied. I wouldn't doubt that we were high even when people had jobs. I think it's always a higher sentiment because of racism and employment. And to me, that is that and housing. Those are the two things that's the most prevalent, that is the most hidden, that people don't think is still affect. Those are the two things that's the most prevalent, and it's the easiest to hide. Oh, you just don't have experience. That's all. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Oh, we like another candidate. They just don't mention that they don't like your Black ass. You know what I'm saying? So, we've all been there, or a lot of us have been there. It's like, where I remember one time I was working at a place and I had been there 2 years. Wasn't expecting a promotion. There was people there before me. They hired this one guy, white guy. The rest of us weren't white, by the way. Hired this one white guy. Within 4 months, he was managing us. And I was like, what the
That
fuck
happened to
is
me.
going on? Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was obvious that he was, to us later, was like, y'all hired him as a manager. Y'all didn't, oh, he was rose up. You wanted him as a manager, but you had to go through this whole, oh, he went through the ranks and the bullshit to
I've
sell
been through the
us.
same thing. Yep.
Yeah, to kind of
Oh
sell us.
no,
But yeah, go ahead.
no, this happened to me because when I used to work for a dinner show, and one of my friends actually was the kitchen manager, and he hired me on, took me from another company, and he said that he was going to try to make it so that either my pay was equal or better. and I took a little dip in pay just to work with him. And so he ended up leaving. And so I thought, well, I'd be next in line because I'm the only one with culinary arts training in that department. And so I was like, okay, all I got to do is learn the paperwork process, and I'm a manager because I knew everything else. Next thing you know, they pull in another manager from another location. He's manager, and then no, sorry, they pulled him in later, but then they brought in this guy who he was Latino, but he was white passing, and they made him the manager, and he was there maybe a couple months. I was there a damn near a whole year, and I'm sitting there running the kitchen, and they bring him in and they make him manager, and I'm like, what? What's going on?
Yeah. So there's
So it
layers.
happened to me.
It's layer upon top layers of those stories that happen to Black people, and I think that's what the extra layer of discontentment. You got a story too, Nick. Sort of something happening like that.
What I put up is to
Go ahead.
reflect what you're talking about, and just talking about the economic inequality in this country. A lot of people are always trying to ignore the racial wealth inequality right now is worse than it was at the height of the civil rights era. This is why at RBN we tell you guys that class is connected to race. Generational wealth is giant in helping you propel yourself in this system. And in 1960, it was legal to refuse to sell a house to someone because of their race. And now you had that policy in the 60s, and I covered this many times. You had you had landlords, real estate development companies that was found committing fraud against Black homeowners because they know they can get away with it, and they did because Eric Holder and the Barack Obama administration was working with them, which is why Barack Obama was chosen by Wall Street, and reason why WikiLeaks exposed that they picked Eric Holder as his attorney general as a Wall Street plant to protect the people who was legally going after Black people. So now, after decades of assault by neoliberalism, you have low rates of Black home ownership, which put us at a disadvantage in terms of wealth, because home ownership is essential in building wealth. This story and the story that JB just showed is one of many reasons why you cannot separate race from class